Sooner or later, all field workers have to set up camp in the bush. Pete and Joe must have had this spot in mind, and it's a good one, on a high, dry, grassy bench close to a good water supply. Having selected their site, the next order of business is to cut a few tent poles. Pete is a good axeman and safety conscious. He clears away any brush that might interfere with his swing and also removes the lower limbs. He tries a practice swing to make sure he has clearance for his axe and then fells the sapling. Joe has cut his quota of poles too, and they prepare to set up their little home in the wilderness. Knowing that an unexpected wind could cause trouble, the tent is securely pegged. Things are going well. Their camping gear is removed from the Land Rover and carefully placed inside the tent and in the shelter of the fly. So far, top marks for everybody. Next, a fire pit. Pete digs one out about 5 feet from the tent, so it'll be nice and handy. Too bad he didn't remove a bit more grass around the fire pit, but ho-hum, it's been a long day. Next day, late in getting on the ball, Pete and Joe feel a bit guilty about their sleeping in and do a quick job of almost putting out their fire. After all, the cruising job is what they're here for, and there's no time for trivialities. So, while our men are engaged in honest toil, a breeze springs up and fans the fire back to a merry blaze with sparks that fly in the wrong direction. The day's work over, Pete and Joe are looking forward to a hot meal and a good night's sleep in their cozy little home away from home. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, oh no! How could this happen to such a couple of nice guys? All they did was make 2 or 3 little mistakes which somehow managed to combine into one big mess. They've lost their tent and their gear, and they've lost the time it's going to take to drive out and get new equipment. But before they collect their wits, zap! The supervisor arrives and conjures up a tent. His lecture is reasonably cool.
Pete, of all the dumb, irresponsible... Listen, don't build your fire so close to your tent. Don't build it on the windward side, and for Pete's sake, if you'll pardon the expression, put your flaming fire out.
Well, the boys learn fast. This time, everything's going to be done just right. Boy, it's sure good to get those wet socks off. Hang them here, they'll be dry in no time. How right you are, Joe. Dried out very, very thoroughly, and uh-oh, here we go again. Well, that was one lamp that gave more heat than light. What's better after a hard day slogging through Salal and Devil's Club than to be able to crawl into the sack, light up a smoke, and have a little snooze? With Pete and Joe apparently fire accident prone, it's decided that maybe they'd make out better with a Coleman stove. Maybe the boys are technically minded. After all, they both drive cars, and they obviously have heard about gasoline and how it's inflammable. And a mechanical device like this should appeal to their high IQs. Seems like there's more gas around than is absolutely necessary, but it'll soon burn off. Oh, Joe, not there. Hey! Well, what do you know? Even gasoline fires are hot. The ever-patient, most understanding supervisor arrives.
Pete, there's just one thing bothering me. We're running out of tents. And I'm running out of patience. Fires and tents don't mix. Never.
Joe has learned his lesson. Come to think of it, he's learned a few of them, we hope. Notice how he's well away from the tent. Notice how properly he lights the stove. This boy will get somewhere after all. But where in blazes is he going right now? Oops! Well, really, Joe. Now, what are you going to do for encores?